Guys, I'm back. This is the video on building basics and tips. We're here in Little Horn Valley. What happened is the villagers are under siege and they have barricaded themselves in the inn. That would be right back in here, I guess. I guess they're barricaded themselves with the rum, the booze. So we got to make sure that the monsters don't get in there and get drunk too, I guess. This is a family friendly game, right? Okay, so we're going to be talking a little bit about basics as far as how to place things on different maps, how to make use of the designs of the maps, and really make yourself more efficient. So what I'm going to do first, before I jump to my squire, I'm going to drop a couple auras just to kind of weed out a little bit of these lanes. This is take 2 of this particular recording. I'm trying to make it a little louder for you guys, so we'll see how this goes. So I'm just going to drop these for this wave. I will drop more, but I'm kind of limited on mana for this first wave. So what this is going to do is I'm dropping them kind of before my defenses, and in the areas where the spear throwers tend to like to sit, or the dragons. So those are your two main concerns in this game early on, is the spear throwers and dragons, because what they're going to do is they're going to sit out of range of your towers and just completely keep bombarding and doing damage. So you got to make sure you know how to deal with that. So what I'd do here is, as you can see, the purple kind of string or line is the path of them coming out. You don't want to get stuff too close. This is kind of the immunity area. You can't do damage to them in there. So you got to let them get out a little ways. And I like to kind of wait here till they come around the corner and they start heading this way. Typically you do have this trap right here, which is nice, because if you can use the in-game maps, or excuse me, the in-map traps, that would be your best bet. But most of the time they tend to bunch up around this corner, so it is nice to be able to hit this and do some damage. So you want to make use of those. But for this particular spot, I prefer to build back a little farther. And what that does is it makes the spear throwers and stuff come around the corner a little bit more. And then I like to put these towers off like so. And what that does is they're out of range. Excuse me, they're out of where the mobs will actually come up and start whacking them. So I'm gonna move this a little closer, somewhere like that. Now the way this system works is the mobs will target the closest thing to them they can actually reach. So from normal ground mobs, they're going to come around and they're going to target this wall, because these are supposedly out of reach of them. They're up on the deals. They're not on the the flat portion. So they're going to come over here and start whacking on this wall. Or if they're ranged, they'll stop right about here and start throwing stuff at the wall. So you got to make use of your choke points and try to. I tend to kind of put this back a little ways like so, and make use of the unreachable areas. Put them up on the up here like so, because only range mobs will be able to attack that. You could put one. Actually, I'm gonna put them both up here, because the nice thing about this particular spot is once they're upgraded a little bit, notice I put the left side out this way. They'll start shooting at the mobs coming out this as they come around the corner if they're not targeting within their own lane. So that kind of helps a little bit as well. So over here, I'm just kind of doing real basic setup. There's nothing real special or tricky about this setup right now. I'm just going to talk about some of the basics. So let's see if I can get another one up here. And then I'm going to put the wall here, and again, that's going to be the first thing that they target, because it's the closest thing to them. Don't have to worry about any any air units this first wave, but they will be coming, and we'll have to do things accordingly. So for here, they tend to not really go where this purple line is. They come out, and then they kind of hug this corner a little bit more. so they don't quite come out this far depending on what type of mob it is. So what I like to do is put this back about like so. Then I put a wall right in front of it. And they tend to come around the corner, start getting blasted by that, and then they'll come towards the wall. So I'm going to put another one right here. And that should take care of that. And as you can see, it comes out this way, which is where they're going to be standing as they come out and around the corner. So that should be okay. I probably will upgrade it once, but for now we won't worry about that. Now there is another trap down here that you can use if you want, but I'm going to set stuff back a little farther again just to make use of the choke point, and it's going to allow me to put some towers off this way, which is going to help as well. Or I could put, you know, some up over here or whatnot. It's just making use of the choke points. They're going to be, you know, all kind of choked down right here as they come in range of the towers, so that helps. So that used up all my mana, so I'm going to go ahead and start the wave. And I'm going to talk about a few things. Let's see here. I've got a little list of things I want to make sure I talked about. So, the one thing in this game is mana is a little bit more of a rare commodity. The green mana that you use for building isn't as plentiful as it was in DD1. DD1 you had one shared resource. You could use it for abilities, for healing, for everything. Healing is free in this one, it doesn't cost anything. But abilities are used, or excuse me, abilities cost blue mana, so it's a separate resource. And I think I talked about that in the overview in the gameplay video that I did before this one. So you want to really try to go around and collect mana and figure out what you're going to use that on. Either you're going to place a new tower, or you're going to upgrade into the existing tower. And for me, 9 times out of 10, I will use less towers than allotted, because you have a lot more DU than you technically need to pass the map. They do that just so there's, you know, some flexibility as far as different builds go. But most of the time, you're better off using less of the towers and upgrading them just so they're more efficient. They have longer range, they hit harder, things of that nature. So that's kind of what I tend to do, especially on the shooting towers that have range. I tend to try to upgrade them so that, see, now it's like this. You want them to overlap the ranges of your towers. This here, before this particular concave circle here that shows the range of this tower was back, I think, to right about where my cursor is now. It's a little bit farther than the other one, but not that far. And there was some dead space between the edge of that tower and the start of this aura. So you want to make sure they overlap so there's not any spot that they're going to be standing in to be able to attack you and be not taking any damage. So it's something I mentioned in other videos. You tend to want to go around and collect the mana before you open your chest, because the chest will despawn any of the green mana. They might change that, but that's just how it is right now. So I tend to try to go around. On these lower end maps, it's not as crucial as it is on the higher tier ones, where you're really scraping together the mana to try to get those upgrades that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and swap back to my monk and just throw down a couple extra auras just to try to cut down on the amount of mobs getting through. And also I'm going to put down some anti-air, so that should help. The monk has the best anti-air tower in the game, but it is only anti-air, so you're not going to be able to attack anything on the ground. There is an interesting mechanic that I've noted, that the water traps that knock things up in the air, and it probably works for the Apprentice Earth Tower as well. Anything in the air it'll shoot at, so that's kind of a neat thing, you know, to see it. The water trap knocks someone up in the air, and then the anti-air shoots at them, so it's kind of funny to watch. But again, it's not something that happens too often. So I'm going to just go ahead and put these down. I'm going to upgrade this one so it has a little bit longer range. you want to tend to have some pretty good range on your anti-air, because especially on those towers there, they do have the opportunity to shoot at more than one target, but you know, once a pack of wyverns gets within that circle, which is only right here, they only have a couple seconds before they're over here wailing on these barricades. So you tend to want them to be able to start shooting at stuff ahead of time, so it has time to start killing them, because they tend to come in packs. So something to keep in mind. Oh, and I put an extra one over here. So yeah, that's something else you need to keep in mind, is, you know, where the range of your towers are going to be, both anti-air and ground units. So let's see. So you got to manage your mana, figure out what you're going to upgrade, what you're going to repair. Most of the time, it's more beneficial to upgrade than to repair, unless you know for sure something is taking a lot of damage and might fall. So just keep that in mind. Also, the cost of the item or the tower that you're placing down is in direct relation to the amount of DU it's going to cost. So if it costs 30 mana, it's going to cost 30 DU. So that is something really neat that they added, because I know in the first game it was kind of confusing sometimes. Like, well, I've got 20 DU left, what can I drop? And you know, unless you had those particular values memorized, you didn't really know. So that's something that's really neat that they added with this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop this here. Just another little boost aura to boost those lightning auras to really do some more damage. So now I could go around and collect all the little bit of mana, but these mobs aren't dropping that much. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab my chest, upgrade these anti-air, and call it good for this wave. So yeah, I mean, this is a pretty simple build. A lot of people use, I mean, it's some auras, and then you can use either Squire towers, Apprentice towers, what have you. I kind of prefer the Squire as a good soloist. The Apprentice does pretty good as well, but not as good early game. It's more of it's a better late game soloer once you get all the towers, and you get some good tower speed and power. But early game, I think the Squire is more universal as a soloist, so that's something to keep in mind. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? So yeah, I talked a little bit about the spearmen and the dragons. You just want to make sure they're taking damage. They don't have any free open area to do damage to your towers. Also, you're not wanting to put towers right behind your walls. Because of the way the closest aggro system works, they're going to target the thing that's closest to them, which 9 times out of 10 it should be a wall. And as they aim at that, you got to figure out where they're stopping and shooting at you from, and then the wall. Don't put any towers right behind the wall. This is the biggest mistake I see a lot of new players do, is they put stuff right behind the wall. Well, those spear guys will throw that spear and it pierces multiple targets, and it'll go right through that wall and hit your towers, giving them needless damage that they shouldn't be taking just because they're behind that wall. So setting them off to the side is going to be a better choice for that. So you're not sitting there having to waste mana on repairing and whatnot just because your placement was a little off. So something to keep in mind. So yeah, we talked a little bit about some of the unreachable areas. You know, these maps are very well designed. They're better than the ones from Dungeon Defenders 1 as far as your opportunities to place towers in kind of strange areas. Actually, I'm kind of wondering. You can even put towers way up here. Wow. Yeah, you can pretty much put towers anywhere you can think of in this game, and it's really neat. I've really been loving the map design and stuff in these maps so far. But so yeah, knowing when to upgrade and what, I tend to lean more towards towers because it increases their damage and their range. Walls are nice, auras are nice, but the main thing with auras aren't so much the damage, it's the range, because as you upgrade them they get bigger. So you just pretty much want to make sure they're covering the pathway. Certain areas you might want them to cover a bigger area, so upgrading them would be beneficial. But typically I don't upgrade them on most maps, at least past level. Oh shoot, I forgot. There's this other one here too. I forgot. I haven't played this map in quite a while, so I forgot that there's a another lane of air units that comes popping through here. So let's see. When you're not paying attention, stuff like that happens. So, but now that that anti-air is here, I won't have to worry about it. And over there, that's what the other anti-air is taken care of. That's where the long range comes into play. When they come in packs like that, you want to be able to kill them quickly, and the sooner they get shooting at them, the better. Because these do a fair amount of damage, but they're not enough to kill, like, say, 3 mobs in a second and a half. So, and I'm not bothering picking up any of this gear because it's low level gear. But, and again, as you can see, yeah, my stats are super overkill for this, but they're not because they're downgraded. If I had, you know, the typical game system DD1 in here, and I came in here with my in-game stats, I would be one-shotting everything. But because of the way they downgrade everything, it actually allows me to play and actually have a little bit of a challenge. So it's nice for playing with friends and whatnot as well. So, all right, I'm just gonna go ahead and G. I don't think we have anything to worry about. So let's see, auras and traps. That's what I'd say 75% of the people I see in public games are using right now. They put a couple 1 to 2 auras down in a lane, and then they just put a whole bunch of geyser traps around them. And right now, with the combination of electricity and water and the stun involved, it's pretty overpowered in my book. I think they need to rework that, but it's still that way right now, and I'm sure it'll be that way for quite a while, but they probably will rework how often it can happen. But being that it's so overpowered, everyone thinks that's pretty much the only way to progress in this game, and I have to disagree. You know, be your own person, come up with your own designs. Don't, you know, just do what everyone else is doing just because it's a mindless way of building that doesn't take any skill in my book. So just be forewarned. You see that a lot in public games. So I'm hoping as the community progresses, it's going to get better. But the game's only been out since the 5th, so you know, people are still learning. And since that was something easy to do and it worked well, everyone's kind of doing it. So you will see a lot of that. But I don't certainly. I guess one of my lightning auras was too far down. Oh well. I had 2 in each lane, so I'm not worried about it. The yeah, so be your own person, come up with your own builds. Don't just do what everyone else does. So there we go. So that's the last one for that. Hopefully you guys, you know, enjoy the videos. I'm gonna try to make some more on each class and all that, and then you know, maybe some leveling maps that I used leveling up that might I can give you a couple suggested builds for. Maybe that'll help too. So hope you guys enjoy the videos.